The Seeds of War, 1914 to 1939. Introduction. World War II had its origins in the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, signed in June 1919 to mark the end of World War I. The treaty represented an attempt by the victors, Britain, France, Italy, and the United States, to prevent a repetition of the recent conflict, but it created more problems than it solved. Combined with the economic crises that racked post-war Europe, it sowed the seeds for a new world war, one even deadlier than its predecessor. New borders. The Treaty of Versailles reshaped the structure of Central Europe. The Austro-Hungarian Empire was dismantled, with Austria becoming a small, weak state in Hungary, ceding territory to Romania. New nations, Czechoslovakia and Yugoslavia, were created. Germany lost land to Czechoslovakia and the reborn state of Poland. Although the concept of national self-determination had been one of the guiding principles of Versailles, it failed to resolve the competing national ambitions of Central Europe. Latin antagonisms between the nations remained a potential cause of conflict, but more problematic was the creation of substantial German-speaking minorities in Czechoslovakia and Poland, a situation that German nationalists later exploited. The terms of the Versailles Treaty also weakened Germany politically, economically, and militarily. France also regained Alsace-Lorraine and occupied the Sarre industrial region. Substantial reparations for war damage were exacted by the victors. Germany's overseas empire was dismembered and its armed forces cut to 100,000 men. The treaty humiliated the German people, causing resentment and a desire for retribution. To avoid future wars, the League of Nations was created to solve disputes through discussion or collective action. However, the League had no military backing, and the most powerful countries, the United States and the USSR, did not become members, which limited its power. The League failed to stop a militarist Japan invading Manchuria in 1939 and Italy's conquest of Ethiopia 4 years later. The rise of Hitler. Post-war economic problems led to the growth of right-wing political parties in many nations. These achieved traditional power in Japan, Italy, and Germany. The success of Adolf Hitler's Nazi Party in German elections in 1933 was the single most important factor in pushing Europe toward war. Once Hitler had been appointed chancellor, he immediately set about destroying the democratic institutions through which he had achieved power. He then introduced new laws to suppress trade unions, opposition parties, Jewish people, and other non-Aryans. Germany was soon a totalitarian dictatorship. Hitler also sought to recover the territories Germany had lost after World War I and reassert its role in world politics. Although an attempt to seize power in Austria in 1934 was thwarted, Hitler's long-term intentions were clear. In contravention of the terms of the Versailles Treaty, he began to rearm, concentrating on aggressive instruments of war such as tanks, bomber aircraft, and submarines. Unchecked aggression. Hitler was now ready to expand Germany's borders and reclaim its former territory. In March 1936, German troops reoccupied the Rhineland without facing any opposition from Britain or France. Emboldened, Hitler then supported General Franco's nationalists in the Spanish Civil War, 1936 to 1939, using the conflicts as a testing ground for the newly developed weapons and military tactics of Germany's armed forces. As the Luftwaffe demonstrated its capabilities by bombing Spanish towns, other European countries began to fear for the safety of their own populations. Unready for war, they adopted a policy of appeasement toward Germany. Britain and France did nothing to prevent a Nazi takeover of Austria in March 1938. They even sanctioned the dismemberment of Czechoslovakia at the Munich conference 6 months later, when Hitler called for the incorporation of German-speaking Sudetenland into Germany. It was only when Germany invaded the rest of Czechoslovakia in March 1939 that the Allies prepared for the inevitability of war. When Hitler then demanded the return of the Polish corridor, a thin strip of land that gave Poland access to the Baltic Sea, appeasement gave way to firmer action.